Congratulations, you're a robot on Kenshi. But it gets worse. You're a robot with one arm in the middle of a desert on Kenshi. And you're broke. And you're being controlled by me, someone who laughs at memes like this. Now, this isn't gonna be a robots type of story. There ain't nothing to get up off of, and there certainly ain't no dancing till you feel better. No, this is the brutal moon of Kenshi, and you're gonna get your motherfucking ass handed to you every day for just existing. And you're gonna learn to love it, because what doesn't kill you will probably cripple you. Now, I hear you ask yourself, what the fuck am I gonna do as a broke and rusted robot on Kenshi? Great question. The possibilities are endless, but unfortunately for you, my creativity is not. As of right now, I just wanted to get the fuck out of this desert. So I did, but not before a trio of starving vagrants tried to engage in conversation with me. Astonished by their level of speech, I decided the nearby town's guards should share the same excitement with me, to which they expressed through violent beatings of said vagrants. Wow, I thought to myself, then proceeded to rip the clothes off of their backs and sell what I couldn't carry for money. See, my ultimate goal was to replace Switch's missing arm with a much cooler, expensive arm, which can be found in the densely robot-populated and depressing Black Desert City, aka New York. But for that, I needed cats, and lots of them. I thought of making my first few batches of coin by the honest trade of stealing, but to my shocking surprise, I wasn't able to do business with the person I had just stolen from, so I resorted to manual labor as my main source of income. Through vigorous work, I net myself enough cats to buy a cheap repair kit, just in case I too suffered the same fate as my previous adversaries, but it was slow and grueling. If I really wanted to make some coin off of mining, I would need a backpack, and since the town's Walmart decided I was no longer a customer, I attempted to coax one of the local bar patrons into buying one for me. Introducing Ridley, a wandering adventurer looking to pair up with someone for extra security through the harsh desert. She agreed to join at no cost. I tried to get her to buy me a backpack, but the Walmart must have security cameras outside because he refused her as well. Annoyed, I settled for making the back and forth trips when I suddenly noticed Ridley was being physically assaulted by a ragged farmer and was now laying unconscious face down in the sands. I cursed the evil farmer and patched her up, then decided to take my anger out on this wounded farmer by taking his leg from him. I hauled Ridley to the nearest bed where she could rest through the night. That's when I went downstairs and met Jafar, a Ronin hive with a sick-ass hat. I was hooked. I needed him to be a part of Switch's journey, and he needed me to be broke. Oddly obsessed with recruiting him to my cause, I forced a recovering Ridley to watch over him as I sent Switch out to make some more money. That's when catastrophe struck. As I was enamored by the dialogue between Jafar and this random patron, I failed to notice that Switch was getting beaten within an inch of his life just outside the city walls. And before I could do anything about it, he was enslaved. That's right, Switch was now a slave. They took everything from him, including his repair kit. I was shocked, mortified, afraid of what would become of my poor handicapped boy. Little did I know, this moment was only a presage of what was to come. While Switch was trying to warm up to his new travel buddies, Ridley was breaking her back for enough coin to recruit Jafar. And as soon as I had enough cats, I overheard this depressing exchange between Jafar and the patron. What started out as a coy and playful comment from the patron and a bit of banter back from Jafar soon revealed itself to be hidden worries for his friend, and it was no surprise the two were more than passing acquaintances. Jafar attempted to ease the conversation with a sad but noticeable undertone. I began to question if I really wanted to separate the two companions. The answer? Yes, I did. So I proceeded to recruit Jafar and rip him away from his friend anyway. Did I feel bad? Sort of. But I felt worse for Jafar, who was immediately met with racism seconds upon joining my group. With the Bugman finally on the team, it was time to figure out how the hell we were going to save Switch. And time was something we didn't have a lot of. As Switch was becoming accustomed to the odd betrayal of love being given to him by his captors, I failed to realize he was slowly losing health, and would soon perish if I didn't get him a repair kit ASAP. The only issue? All the cheap repair kits were gone. The only ones left cost 4,000 cats, and I was once again broke. I began to panic. Switch was dying, and I needed to come up with 4,000 cats in a matter of minutes, so I did what any desperate father of his child would do. I forced Jafar and Ridley to sell their earthly possessions along with their dignity to net myself around 3,300 cats, then collected the rest through more mining, and shortly after, Jafar had the repair kit and his bug-like appendages. Since Jafar is a hive, which means he's anatomically quicker than Ridley, I had him race against the desert to save our metallic friend. I will admit I was nervous that Jafar's unannounced arrival to this slave camp would be met with resistance, but surprisingly, they just let him walk right through the gates. And like an angel descending from the heavens, or rather a naked bug man rising from the first floor of a slave warehouse, Jafar was there to save him. And while that absolute headache of a situation was resolved, there was still an obviously huge problem at hand. Regardless of how well Switch was fitting in at the slave camp, I still wasn't a fan of my character being put under any sort of obedience that wasn't my own. I took the opportunity to practice his lockpicking skills in the dead of night and improved his athleticism during the day by slacking off. When I felt he was ready, I splinter celled my way out of the building and brought a pet along with me. As Switch and his pet approached the gaping maw of the desert, I decided to thank the guards for their courtesy in housing him and teaching him the values and lessons of hard, honest work. Unfortunately, the guard wasn't a fan of Irish goodbyes, so he chased me until his weak sand-filled lungs gave out on him. Now a slave on the run, Switch was in danger of becoming free real estate to anyone who wanted him. This was news to me, and I was kindly informed of this rule by a local town's garrison as Switch was being reunited with his friends. While Switch laid lifeless on the sands, destroyed and humiliated, I thought, hey, you know what would make this game even more fun? If we could do that whole slave experience again, only with Jafar and Ridley this time. And the game agreed. Ecstatic that his friends were being hauled off to learn the value of labor, Switch crawled his way to Ridley to bid her farewell, and thanked the guard for being kind enough to carry her to her new home. Only, this guard had crippling social anxiety, and launched Ridley into the stratosphere as a diversion to escape Switch's conversation. Good thing Ridley's bones are made out of rubber, because she safely aced the landing. Jafar, on the other hand, didn't get to say his goodbyes. He was given his very own cage, and was expected to take this slave role-playing very seriously. Unfortunately for them, Jafar wasn't really into it, so he decided to stop playing almost immediately. The trio eventually reunited under the roof of a rundown bar in a small waypoint in the middle of the desert. They were now ex-slavers on the run, building a life around this small town, freely doing what it is they sought to escape for their own personal wealth. We purchased the blown-out tower in the hamlet and turned it into our base of operations. Life was beginning to become comfortable for the trio. We even recruited a few more friendly faces, but Switch never forgot his purpose. We had plenty of cats at this point, a home, and some nasty motherfuckers at our disposal. All that was missing was the courage to make the trek to the Deadlands. With everyone spending one last time together as a group before his journey, I sent Switch to go get his arm. During this time, we reflected a lot on our close calls, Switch's time as a slave, the anger and hate between the inhabitants of this land. We realized that all we had were each other in this world, and that was alright. Switch eventually arrived in Black Desert City. He was amongst his people, but didn't feel at home. He promptly purchased his new arm, and his purpose was fulfilled, but he didn't feel any better, for he only truly felt whole when he was with his friends. Because who really needs all the violence, the despair, slavery, or even limbs, when you have friends? There was only one thing left to do.
Huh?